So super excited to have you guys join us. My name is Tiffanie Kellog, and I am joined today by
Jason Avery.
And here in the Tampa Bay area, we are the facilitators of the Room Full of Referrals program that looks at the behavioral styles. What are other people's styles, and how do you utilize the platinum rule to make the most of those relationships? And Jason and I were talking and thought, what a perfect conversation that we want to have around this idea of, how do you not kill the people locked in the house with you? Surviving this social distancing, if you're truly staying in. And I don't think, I think I heard Pinellas is in. They're done today. It's stay in. How about up there where you're at?
Officially at noon. No, it hasn't affected Hernando yet. I'm fortunate to be in the construction business, and so we are an essential business. And but I can't imagine what some people are going through being on complete lockdown.
Yeah, it's crazy. So we do have up here, welcome to the ZAL. That is my new word for Zoom plus call, because I'm like, Zoom call takes too long. So my goal is to have it catch on and have everybody calling these ZALs. Not a call, not a Zoom, it's a ZAL. Zoom is probably like, Tiffany, you can leave it just as a Zoom, but that's what I'm trying to do. We have Ralph joining us. Cindy's joining us. She's got our husband in the house with us. Bonnie is a dietitian. She's home currently with her husband and daughter, who's trying to graduate from college. So we've got several people on here, and as you come on in, we're excited to have you. I just wanted to see who we had on the chat, and what I'm going to do is stop the share now so that you can see Jason and I nice and big. And we're going to talk a little bit about how to make sure you don't kill those folks. So Jason, you want to talk to us a little bit about what's going on right now and why we even need to have this conversation?
Well, we've learned through Room Full of Referrals that, people behave differently. They also relate to stress differently. And needless to say, this is maybe a stressful environment for some. Just not knowing where the world's going. So if we're all going to be cooped up in tighter quarters together for a longer duration of time, we don't get those reprieves and those breaks. We better make sure that we're learning how to communicate with each other well, and not try and kill each other.
Yeah, and speaking of that, I've got a little poll for us. So is there anyone in your household that is already annoying you? You've got 5 options that should have hopefully popped up on the screen. This one is anonymous, so we won't know which one you picked. So are you already being annoyed by somebody? Yes, almost, not yet. Everything is chill. We are all getting along. Or that I live alone, and then you may start annoying yourself. Oh, is it there? Okay.
I'm looking for it. I don't see it myself, Tim.
Okay, you as a panelist may not get it, Jason. Oh, we've got somebody that says, yep, everything is chill, we're getting along. A lot of not yets. I do have a yes. Somebody is already kind of being aggravated. All right. So right now, what wins is not yet, but I love the fact that we said not yet, because it may be coming soon. And it's going to be important for us because we don't know if we're going to be here for a couple of weeks or for a couple months. And so we've got to make sure we do really great with these relationships. And prior to us getting into, we're going to start by telling you how to identify the behavioral styles. Just wanted to tell you a little bit about your 2 co-hosts today. Jason, you want to tell us about who you are and what you do in a couple sentences?
Jason Avery, the owner of Avery Construction. We remodel kitchens and bathrooms. We build new room additions all over Tampa Bay. Hence, we have projects that are torn apart right now, and these people do not want us to leave. They want us to finish and get out of the way and stop sending strangers to their home every day. But I personally have diverted almost all of what I do to web interaction and web chats, and I've been pinned up in the house in Brooksville for about 2 weeks now, along with my wife. We recently became empty nesters again. Thank goodness the older one and the grandbaby moved out just before getting locked down. So I think the situation might be a little bit more desperate for me if otherwise. But so it's me and Char living here at home. We get our regular visitors up here, other family that want to get away from it all and come hang out in the country. And yeah, we're here we're weathering the storm.
Are you going stir crazy yet?
Yeah, the promoter within me is, likely to want to bounce off the walls, and because I like to move all the time, always be on the go. But hey, the go-getter in me sees a problem that has to be solved, and so I'm working hard at it, and I'm finding that I'm able to be more efficient in some ways, and so I'm serving my style as well as I can.
Gotcha. And I'm Tiffanie Kellog, your other host for today, and I help entrepreneurs make money, save time, and have fun by generating more referrals. And I'm not doing any of my live typical presentations, but we're doing a lot online. I'm having tons of fun on Zoom, and the introvert in me is loving the fact that I've left the house like 3 times in the past week, just one errand here, one errand there, and I am totally fine. I'm like, do I even need to get dressed today? Can I just chill? So I'm not stir crazy yet, though my husband, who's still been working, he even worked yesterday evening. He's like chatting, because he's that extrovert, and he's like, he wants to be around people. He was so excited to find out today that the bar that we typically go to in Weston Chapel, Brass Tap, is actually open today for growler pours. So you can actually go get a growler for 50% off. And I'm like, oh my gosh, he is going to be so excited, even if he's just there for 3 minutes. And so it's an interesting thing. Like, what can we do, and how do you like doing this? And so before we get into, okay, how do we deal with those folks in our house? What do they need? I thought we would start the conversation with a little bit of an overview, because if you haven't yet done, so we're talking today about the content from the Room Full of Referrals program, which is based off of DISC. If you're not familiar with DISC, or you've never done an assessment, then you may not know who's in the house. So what we want to start the conversation with is a little overview. So Jason, before we do that though, I'm going to ask Jason about these styles. No, we have all of the styles in us. So Jason had mentioned it earlier, promoter, go-getter, he's got 2 styles. So we're just going to give you the overview, the typicals for the dominant style. So what can you tell us about go-getters, Jason?
Well, go-getters are enterprising, hustling kind of people. They like to take charge, grab the bull by the horns. Nothing gets in their way. They knock the things down. They like to look good, and they like to be represented well. And you tend to find them in those director kind of roles, or working independently. They don't necessarily work well with others, and maybe sometimes they just are a little too direct in trying to get things done, and other people may perceive them as being a little rude, and they can tend to push a little too hard sometimes. And so in this time that we live in right now, how is a go-getter dealing with this situation of being at home? I imagine they're finding it more difficult to get the results, and while they're trying to fix this problem, the problem keeps getting worse. And is it fixable by them right now? And that probably drives them a little bit crazy. But while they're still trying to get the job done, and they're having to do it from inside their home, I imagine other people might be getting in the way a little bit. I imagine other people, trying to take bits of their attention when they're busy fixing the problem could result in a little bit of conflict. They might speak out just a little too directly about, I'm busy, and sometimes that busyness, it can hurt our relationships.
Gotcha. Any other clues that, hey, the person I might be stuck in the house with is a go-getter?
Well, in the house, it's again tends to be the person that sounds a little bossy at times, and really just trying to direct traffic and make things happen, get results. And I think they are the type of people that will go spend a little extra right now just to sort of stock things up. They want to be invested into this situation, again, looking for the solutions to a problem. And I think that our directors our go-getters, the ones who are doing all the directing, I think you can even identify these people through your emails. And if we're doing a lot more online interaction, they're the people that write you the very short and very direct statements, or might follow their statement up with a few bullet points. But it's right to the point. They don't add much fluff. There's no delivering it softly. They just spit it out. Whatever's on their mind is what they're thinking, and sometimes the truth hurts a little bit.
So if I'm social distancing, even in my house, let's say, and I'm texting my dad who's in the other room, and I send like this long response, if he responds yes, period, is that a clue that might be a go-getter?
That might be a go-getter. That's a clue. You might be talking to a go-getter.
Gotcha.
And I can get myself in trouble with my wife for being a little too short sometimes, and just saying, she asked a question, I answered it, but I didn't follow it up with, and I love you and I hope you're having a nice day. It's not that I didn't feel that way, but I was just busy tackling tasks, and I got the job done, and that's as far as I saw it. But to maybe a nurture, which we'll talk about soon, I might have needed to soften it up a little bit and be a little more considerate.
All right. And we'll talk more about what you need to do for those folks. And so we're going to go through the next 3 styles. Though if you have questions as we're talking here, please put them in the chat box. So you mentioned nurturers. So let's talk about nurturers next. So the nurturers, this is the S for those of you familiar with DISC. How might I know that I'm in the house with a nurturer? Describe them to me.
So, the nurturers are definitely more soft-spoken, and not necessarily after trying to conquer the problems of the universe, but really taking in what's happening in the world around them right now. And they're a very caring bunch of people that are probably genuinely concerned right now for the well-being of other people they know. And, some of their friends who own businesses that might be struggling through these times. And that can weigh a lot on the nurturer because, again, they do care. They have a need for appreciation, and so we got to make sure that as they're trying to help us endure this, they're trying to cater to us in the house. That we are taking the time to thank them and use our manners, be polite, and but the nurturers definitely again. They'll do anything they can for you. So if your neighbor, runs out of toilet paper, they're the ones that'll lend out a couple extra rolls, so they do generally want to make sure that everybody's going to be okay from this. Probably, still doing some networking, connecting with friends that they feel they can help. If a friend is trying to switch his business to online webinars instead of live interaction, they're showing up and attending ththese things to be there for the other people.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was talking to one of my friends, and she's actually has a respiratory issue. So she's the one I'm worried about out of most people in my life. She's my number one worry. And she was saying, if her mom got sick, she would go be with her mom. I'm like, that is such a nurture thing. You know better. You don't need to be around sick people. But if your mom's sick because she lives alone, you would go down there. And she was like, of course I would. Wouldn't you? And I was like, if my dad was sick, he's a go-getter. He'll be fine. He knows better. It's a different behavioral style thing. So the nurturers are definitely taking care of everyone as much as they can. And I think all 4 behavioral styles could be hoarding supplies. The nurturer would be hoarding toilet paper. Hoarding toilet paper because they want to make sure everybody has enough. Why would the go-getter be hoarding toilet paper, Jason?
My friend who is together with a nurturer, his comment to me the other day was, she's got 50 rolls stacked in the corner and she was ordering more, and I had to explain that you only use 1 roll a week, so you already have a year's supply. Why do we need more? But trying to be prepared to take care of everybody, that's what the nurturers do.
And why would the go-getters why would they hoard the toilet paper?
I don't know so much that they're hoarding it, but if they found the opportunity to buy it, they go and just buy a bunch of it because, it doesn't matter if it costs a little extra now, or, they're solving a problem, just checking the item off the list and getting it done. Gotcha.
Because then they don't have to worry, hey, it might be a shortage. We've got it. I don't have to worry about it. Good to go. So if you go through 1 roll of toilet paper a week, that's all, because we use way more toilet paper here in our house. So I found Charmin Forever rolls. They're like this big. And it's like a month's worth of toilet paper on 1 roll. And so we're stopped.
She was a vegan, so maybe that, I don't know if that, what you eat might have influenced her. You know, so.
Who knows? All right, switching gears onto, bad humor there. Let's talk about what the examiner, how would I know that I'm in the house with an examiner?
So the examiner, again, tends to want to work alone. The examiners are probably pretty naturally good at social distancing, and that's what comes more comfortably naturally to them, but they probably have an office space or somewhere they go to escape, to be able to be there behind the desk getting things done. They like to produce those results. So right now, if they're here working in the home with the rest of the family, they might be the one hiding in the corner somewhere. They might have put up a barricade around themselves to try and self-quarantine, and just to be able to continue to not disrupt the flow of the process. Because again, examiners are all about process, they're all about systems. They like things to remain regular and things to, flow in the right order, the way they're supposed to. And right now, everything that they're used to, all their systems and processes have just been discombobulated, and now we've got to reinvent new systems and processes. And maybe that's where some of these people are fulfilling themselves right now, is by trying to reinvent the new process, but it's still an uncomfortable feeling, not having it all figured out yet. And I imagine that, again, some of our examiners right now are probably struggling with having all this commotion and having all these people, trying again to speak with them while they're trying to be focused on the one task at a time and do it like a perfectionist, absolutely perfectly, and get effective and efficient results. With that said, I have found that now that I'm not driving as much, I am way more efficient and able to get a lot more things done with half the time invested. So, it all depends on how we look at these situations and read into how it might be affecting us, and then, of course, how we might be affecting others in the way we're dealing with it.
And why might the examiner be hoarding toilet paper?
With the examiner, I think it's always more of a value proposition. Again, I think it's a task. It's a task that has to be fulfilled, and where we find the opportunity to, complete the task, and we were able to get a good buy on it now before prices maybe inflate. That might be an efficient, investment into this additional product at this time.
All right, cool. And that leaves us with the last behavioral style, the promoter. Now, how do I know I'm stuck in the house with a promoter?
The promoter is probably bouncing off the walls and probably pacing back and forth a lot through the home, maybe getting lots of little things done, just trying to occupy their time, probably still chatting it up, one phone call to the next, one video chat to the next, and needing that constant interaction and that involvement with lots of people. I think that, something's missing for them, not being able to get out into the world and fly around like a butterfly. I think that if they're not going to be driven crazy by this, they need to find some opportunity to get out of the house, be outdoors, and I've found that the promoter in me, what's made me feel better is just kind of switching, as I go to different video chats, switching it up a little bit. So here I am in front of the mantle in the dining room, and on the next call, I might be sitting on the back porch with the landscape behind me. Because even though I can see it in the screen behind me, and it makes me feel like I'm in different places and I'm getting a little exposure. So what are those happy places in the home? And you got to find them. If you don't have them, create them. I was on a call earlier, and the background behind him was just solid white, and I was like, man, this is the most boring call I've been on all day long. And I told him, I need you to either put up the banner with the logo behind you or paint me a beach scene. Give me something, back there that I can be entertained by or feel like I got out of the house and I can connect with you through this little window we have.
Oh,
so,
that is too funny. An examiner would think, how inefficient is it for you to switch every time?
I just have to do it. It'll wear me down if it's the same old stuff all day long, monotonous, and it has to have some flavor to it.
Gotcha. So I was going to say, why would the promoter stock up on toilet paper? But is the better question, would a promoter hoard toilet paper?
I didn't hoard any. I wasn't worried about it. I think we'll find some toilet paper somehow, some way. And if I have to, I'll install a little hose on the side of the toilet spigot, and we'll get through it. We'll figure it out. The promoters don't worry, about much, but keep in mind, promoters hate conflict, and so when those little moments in the house happen, bickering, they're going to be the ones that run the other way and go escape out the front or out the back or go hide in the bedroom. They got to get away from it for a moment. Now that might be a clue. If they just keep running away from the conversation on you, it might be a promoter. And so, but we got to be careful of that if we get too much of that conflict going on, the promoter will be crazy. Then we'll have to go run out in the outside world, and that's not a good thing right now.
All right, so hopefully you have now an overview of the 4 different styles. So what I'm going to do, and I'll let you vote this time, Jason, I've launched the polling. What you want to do is you want to pick, and you can actually pick multiple choices here because I understand that some of you have several people in your house. So which styles do you have in your household? Pick all that apply, and I'll give you a minute to create that answer.
I'm still not on the list, I don't believe. I don't see it here in the chat.
It should have popped up for you, Jason. If it didn't, then don't worry about it. At least for me, it's like popped up right in the middle of the screen. Oh, and I love it because it says attendees are now answering questions. So we've gotten 9 out of 13. 69% of people have voted so far. So just need a few more of you guys to vote in. And it looks like go-getters, they're high on the list. We've got 67% go-getters, 56% promoters, 33% nurturers, 33% examiners. Which do you think, Jason, would be the hardest type behavioral style to have in the house with you?
Well, I have to say, my wife and I are exactly opposite. And while, again, 77% of us are dominant in 2 styles, and she and I both fall into that category. I am the promoter, go-getter. She is the nurture, examiner. So we're wired opposite. Good thing I've had her come to the program with me multiple times, so she understands the language too. And we try our best, to honor each other in this and understand where each other's frustrations might be. And we find those moments where we bicker, get at each other for 1 second, and then we realize it and try and calm it down, walk away from it, circle back later with a different approach. Maybe for me, I need to come back with a softer tone. And with her, she might need to be a little more open-minded about the fact that I'm just trying to get things done, and that I will give her attention, when I can at the right time. So, but hey, definitely, I think this is a great opportunity as we're all stuck together to deepen our relationships with each other and to learn how to get past this communication. For some people, this might be one of the first Zoom calls they've ever been on. I've been doing this kind of thing for a couple of years and I'm comfortable with it, but to some, maybe this is very uncomfortable having to just get on this video chat that I've never done before. And as we each get stressed by these, new uncomfortable experiences, we might lash out a little bit. So we got to just make sure we're learning how to get through it. And just like Zoom will become comfortable to everybody, we can become more comfortable in our deeper relationships, as we learn to work through it.
Yeah, and we talk in the Room Full of Referrals program about the platinum rule. And a lot of people are familiar with the golden rule, which says treat other people the way that you want to be treated. The problem with that is people want to be treated dramatically different. Not everybody wants to be the same. And so we really want to treat people the way that they want to be treated, which is the platinum rule. And so the reason that we just spent the last couple minutes going into what are the behavioral styles is we really wanted to make sure that you knew who is in the situation with you so that you would be able to adapt to them. And that's going to be our goal. We want to treat the people the way that they want to be treated using the platinum rule. So last poll that I've got for you is, are you willing to try to use the platinum rule while we're social distancing? I've got a yes, a not yet, and no. And anybody that puts the not yet, I would guess that would be a go-getter. I put that in there for the go-getters because if they've only been in the house for a week or so, they might be like, nope, this is good. Yep, see, we've got a not yet there. And I get that. I know it took me the program several times and I'm like, oh yeah, maybe go-getters sometimes think that it's their way and that's fine. We don't need to adapt to others. And If we're spending months in the house with these same people, yes, you do. We all need to adapt. So I didn't get any no's, which is good, Jason. I got one not yet, and 89% of people said yes, they are willing to try. Beautiful. So now what Jason and I want to do is kind of explore with you, okay, how do you begin to adapt to the other styles? Because I'll admit, yesterday, my husband, who is very close to being both a promoter and a nurturer, he's like bouncing off the walls and trying to talk to me about like random, I don't know stuff. And I'm like, I'm trying to work to get things done. And he's kind of bothering me right now. But I had to sit back and like think in my head, okay, wait. This is going to be really hard on him. And that's true for all the promoters. They are used to that engagement and entertaining. So if you're more on the task-oriented side, which are going to be the examiners and the go-getters, and you have those people-oriented people in your world, you may need to realize that sometimes while you may be working on a task, they really need their task is they need time with you. What else do we need to keep in mind? How else is it good for us to treat the other promoters, Jason, because that's your dominant style? How should we be treating you when we're locked in a house with somebody like you?
I think if you want to entertain the promoters, they need entertainment. They need change, something different. So, I mean, instead of sitting down and watching the same old boring program, or too much of the news, and maybe turn it off and go have a picnic in the yard. Set up a surprise. I love surprises, things that we're counting on. Can we have a candlelight dinner out in the yard, or whatever it is. Try and mix it up a little bit. Try and create some fun and events and game night or something to do to entertain. That's the best way to treat a promoter in this situation.
So if we're task-oriented people with a promoter, like, could we give you something to do? And like you're going off doing like a little scavenger hunt, and then we have like an hour to ourselves and we can get our stuff done?
That might work, Tiffany. You were talking about the go-getters, so again, when I have my playtime and that's who I am, but when I go into work mode, that's where my go-getter tendencies come out, and I'm in the same position as you. If I'm focused on the task and the interruption feels like it's messing up my timeline, my nurture wife came up with a great idea that we might need to invent some type of little light to sit on top of the computer, kind of like on air, and we could have them with fun and scripted messages, even to say go away, or say not right now, or but maybe just some little indicator. Put a little flag up in the air beside you on your desk to say this is I'm on the call, I'm not now, and that's how they can identify when it's okay for you to approach. Have another sign that says come on in.
And I think the examiners probably would do well with that, communicating to the people in the world, hey, I'm working on this task now, and please do not interrupt me.
I think for the examiners, really, it needs to be very scheduled. It's okay. These hours between here and here are, my work time, not to be disturbed. I will be free between 11:30 and 12:30 for a lunch break, and we could have a nice conversation. And then, 12:30 to 4:30 again. Nobody opens this door, nobody enters this room. Don't come in my corner. I think giving them that space to call their own, and the promoter who's there working probably is working in the middle of the living room or the middle of the kitchen right now at the countertop, and in the middle, lots of commotion going on around, and they're probably okay with that. And so, but yeah, giving the examiner their space, that's probably very important right now. Quiet time.
What do I need to do if I'm in a house with a nurturer? What do I need to be doing for that nurturer? I mean, because the problem with nurturers, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying there's a problem with nurturers. I love nurturers. My husband, again, he's promoter nurturer pretty evenly. However, nurturers have a tendency to really want to take care of other people. So not only how do we need to treat them, I think it's most important, maybe not most, but it is very important for us to also realize that the nurturers will continue to take care of us and not themselves. So A, how do we treat them? And B, how do we get them to let us take care of them too?
And for those others, this is one of the things you might have to build into your schedule, is devoting specific time for the nurturers, making sure that you're able to sit down and just talk about things with them, help them feel more comfortable right now, and reassuring right now that, we're all going to work together to get through this. And, yes, it's not going to be easy, but, we all care. We got to make sure that we show we still care, and that, we got to, again, soften our approach, maybe slow it down a little bit, as they're worried trying to take care of everybody else. We make sure you say, please and thank you. Make sure you appreciate them for the things they did for you as they're trying to care for you. And that's how you're going to best serve them for right now. And anything that you can do that shows, you're trying to support the community around you right now during this time, and is definitely going to be reassuring to them as well. At Avery Construction, I've just ordered a huge load of face masks that they're calling for at the hospitals. I need to deploy some to my team, but I ordered an overabundance 3 times what I need, and we're going to donate them to one of the local hospitals. And a friend of mine's a nurse that works at this hospital, had to cry out for help, so we're going to come to the table with that. But just showing that you're trying to help your fellow neighbors through this just the same, and I think that's the best way to appeal to the nurture.
It's interesting. There was a friend of mine just sent me a text message. Apparently the elementary school in the neighborhood, there was a caravan of vehicles like riding through the neighborhood, honking and yelling and waving. And I'm like, ooh, that was created, my guess, by the promoters and the nurturers. The nurturers because they miss everybody and want to let them know they're thinking about them, and the promoters because it's like, ooh, it's a parade, let's have some fun. I was like, I would not have thought about doing something like that, though I grew up in the country, so there wasn't like neighborhood when we were in school. My nearest neighbor was far away. Maybe not quite as country as yours, Jason. I think my nearest neighbor was a little bit closer, but it was kind of out like that. Mm-hmm. So what else do how else can we be treating our family right, or whomever you're social distancing with? What else do we need to keep in mind with the styles?
Well, I think a big thing we need to consider right now is that while we are social distancing, many of us own businesses, and we still need to maintain our network. We still need to be trying to grow our network right now. So while you're being distant, what are you doing to remain connected and remain engaged out there in the business networking world? And are you attending, typical networking meetings through Zoom? Are you still scheduling and doing effective one-to-ones? Are again, effective one-to-ones? Are they still, business related, and we're still making connections for each other? And if sales, can ride a wave of ups and downs, but our marketing effort, we really need to remain consistent with, and we need to continue to grow the network if we're going to want to have business and opportunity waiting for us when things start to normalize. So behavioral styles will come to play just like this in video interaction as well. And so we need to be identifying who it is that's on the other side of the screen, maybe by what they're wearing. The loud colors are the promoters, and the softer tones might be the nurturers. Or again, the environment they're in might tell us something, if it's more of an office or more of a fun place, and whether it's more task or people oriented. So we need to identify who's on the other side of the screen, and then remember that sometimes we might need to speed it up a little bit and get to the point. Other times we might need to slow it down a little bit and discuss what some of the options are. We have to be able to appeal to all types.
So one question that we've got is, okay, if we want to get a task done, like what would be the best way to get that done based on the behavioral styles? And with a go-getter, I think it's here's the results and how and why do we need to make that happen? If you can give them kind of the big picture and here's what's going to happen, it can be very powerful. What's in it for them? With the examiners, if you want them to do the task, a step-by-step of here's how to do the task, or here are the steps to do it. So they have they don't need, for them, they need the big picture, but it's not like the overall view. It's the here's how we're going to make it happen. So maybe the order of accomplishment. With the nurture, you might want to share with them why it's being done and how we can do this together. For the promoter, at least my promoter, I like to use bribes. Like, here's what we want to get done. After we do that, then we can go have some fun.
That's good.
Jason, if somebody is trying, and this one, because here's the thing, when it comes to the behavioral styles, this is adult and it's your children. So Jason, this question, we'll see how you do with this because you have kids and I don't. If I'm trying to motivate my kids to clean, how do I motivate the different behavioral styles?
Wow, that's a curveball that was unscripted, Tiffany. And my children are grown adults now, but let's give this a shot and see how it goes. I mean, again, because children are different in behavioral styles. When you sit and observe them long enough, you will see that they handle things different ways. I have a daughter. She's now 20 years old, but she is an examiner. She's an examiner go-getter. She's 100% task-oriented, not people-oriented at all. And for her, if it was to vacuum the floor, I would have to have the proper reason on why it needed it in the first place. I would have to explain and on the process of what I set the level of expectation so that we don't stop too soon in this process. I would have to then define what was in it for her. If the reward was going to come out of this, for the task well done, and then, dictate a timeline. If she committed to do it in the first place, she would get it done. If she did not commit to doing it, then yeah, no, I'm out of luck, and she would make that decision up front, So other styles now, let's think about this. Okay, so my son's more of the, he's the nurture promoter. He's always people-oriented, exactly the opposite of my daughter, sometimes faster, sometimes slower, but always more of a people-oriented person. And for my son, you could probably get him to do it by asking for the help. If you really needed the help, he would not want to tell you no. And again, depending on when I would ask him, I'd have to find the right timing, because if he's in the middle of the video games or he's multitasking on something, if I try and throw that in there and it sounds like I'm taking away from the fun, then that's where I might run into the hard no, and now we're arguing with our kids. But as long as I slip it in when there was a break, there was a moment of nothing going on, they kind of need something to do at that point, something to fulfill their time, that's probably when I could ask and appeal to the people-oriented side of them. It was, hey, I could really use your help with this. I'm tied up, I'm busy, but that this would do us good. And that's how I could get my son motivated. Okay. How's that sound?
I've been chatting with somebody that had a question and I figured it out. Which styles did we miss? Did you hit all 4 styles?
So, well, no, in a manner of speaking, but I kind of just divided them more into people-oriented versus task-oriented as opposed to breaking 4 styles.
Okay.
And it kind of depends on where we're at there.
Nope, that totally works. I'm good with that. I was just curious. What do we do? Okay, so last question, and then we'll wrap it up. If that behavioral style is bored, how do we help them get unbored? So what do we do for the promoter, the nurturer, the examiner, the go-getter if they're bored?
If they're bored. Well, if the go-getter's bored, present them with a challenge. Ooh, yeah. And if you present them with a challenge, it's just like a problem that needs to be fixed, and that will entertain them to solve the problem. If the examiner is bored, probably give them some data, give them something to read, some research to do. And
maybe ask them to help research something.
I've been thinking about buying one of these blenders. Can you do the research for me and tell me which blender you think is the best one, and give them an opportunity to research? That will definitely occupy time and not bore the examiner. If the nurturer is bored, and again, I think it kind of is just asking for help. It would be really helpful if we could get this done, maybe for somebody else, not for yourself. And I think so-and-so would be so happy if we could do this for them. Do you think you could help me get that done? I think that they love a task to do as well, that they feel that they're contributing.
And maybe
promoters,
maybe for the nurture, it's even like, let's the 2 of us spend some quality time together. I know on Pinterest, there's all kinds of, because I've been looking for like 30-day challenges, like health-wise and different things. But they've got like 30-day relationship challenges. Like, here's something to work on. So maybe if you have a nurturer in your world, and this could be a partner, it could be a friend, a family member. I don't know about your sister-in-law. Good luck with that. I know that sometimes those relationships are weird. It could be your children, but even just, hey, here's this time we're dedicating to spend together. Giving them your time sometime could be And here's the thing, you could pick something that you would like to do that if they want to spend time doing it with you could help get them on board. And then the promoters, because the promoters are the ones that are going to have the biggest issue and need the help the most because they're bored like 5 minutes later.
Yeah, and so again, it just has to be new and different. You can't fill their time with more of the same old stuff. Oh, let's do that game again for the 100th time, and let's either pull out a new game or we spent last Saturday. We decided let's build ourselves a big brand new chicken coop. So we went out to the farm store, bought all the materials we needed, and we spent the day constructing a big brand new chicken coop. But that was entertaining because it's not the day-to-day ordinary stuff.
And you just mentioned games. And so since we're doing the social distancing, there is a game. It's called Psych. It's a free game that I think Ellen put out there. And one of the things I love about it is you actually play on your phone. So if you've got friends and family that aren't at home with you, stuck with you, but you want to do something with them, so you actually can do it right here online. I think we might be doing, maybe we're going to make like a little Psych game for our friends and like, okay, who all wants to come on and we can all play together. So random, that's my promoter coming out, like random squirrel moment. Oh, I have fun with this game, Psych, P-Y-S-C-H, freebie. So if you're looking for a game to play with people outside of the house, or if you're home alone and you're bored, you could pop on Zoom and play it together with the computer. Yes.
It sounds like something new, fun, entertaining, but I will encourage everybody to consider this. We're already social distancing from the rest of the planet right now, and don't be in your living room social distancing yourself from the rest of your family too. And while you're there, learn how to communicate, learn how each other is motivated and how you can adapt a little to, help everybody get along through the situation, and use this time to deepen your relationships.
Yeah, and if I need like a 20-minute break, that might be a good way to go. Here we are, we got task-oriented on one side of the screen, people-oriented on the other side of the screen. So yes, I think we definitely need to spend our time with each other. Less technology is better at this time. However, if you need a break, maybe it's an option. Jason,
you don't have any choice but to be tied into a whole lot of technology already anyway. So yeah, take some breaks from it.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add, Jason, on this conversation? Because I think we're getting close to wrapping us up.
I think we've addressed most of it all. Is there any particular questions from the audience? Any final posts? Anything? Any problems we can help solve?
I think we've got everything that the people have asked. Just a little background for you guys, or recap. Jason and I do facilitate this program live in person, the Room Full of Referrals, and the next one is coming to you. We have no idea when. We originally had one scheduled next month. We will see when another one's happening. Though Jason does do the platinum assessment, so you can like go online and you get the assessment, and then he'll get on Zoom with you and tell you all the different things. I've actually done this for a family inside an office where there were 8 of them, and we figured out the different styles. So it might be interesting. Jason, would you do a group platinum rule assessment where you take everybody and individually work with them on that?
Sure. That's an idea.
So if that's something you're interested, I'll put the details in the description of this when I put it up on YouTube, and any of you that are on the chat, you can get in touch with me and I can let you know more details about that. Otherwise, our goal is to remember the platinum rule while we're social distancing, so we don't kill the people in our house. Or okay, so I'm sure there's going to end up being somebody killing somebody, and that's kind of morbid. It's probably going to happen. That is not going to be y'all, I understand, but we don't want you to impact your relationships. We were joking the other day, but not joking at all. People are going to come out of this with babies and divorces. And our goal is not. We want you to come out of social distancing with the same people that you loved going into social distancing. Anything else you want to add, Jason, or we're in good shape for the shape we're in?
Thank you to everybody that come to hang out and listen to us today.
All right. Thank y'all. Have a good time. Thanks for being here. And we'll talk to you soon.